One more question before we go to your origin story is, are you buying any of these on seller finance?
No. Nope. I've never done seller financing. I wouldn't be opposed to it. And again, that's kind of goes back to, I see it every day. Here's how I bought millions of dollars with no money down. We don't do that. We put equity in the deal. Here's the formula, and just really simple for anyone. We take our bust our butt money from our business, like the bust my butt money, the work my face off money from my business, and we invest in passive income producing assets of real estate. Gotcha. So for people, watching this, the first thing to do is if you just don't have money yet to invest in real estate, that's okay. Invest in your education first and foremost. Your income can never exceed your level of personal development. So invest in you first. That was the first investment I ever made, Randy, was right here in myself. Personal development. Then learn a high income skill. Look what you're doing. You're wholesaling. That's a high income skill. I love what you said. You're like, I got a good 9-to-5 job, right? And then I'm building my side hustle. That's the way to do it. Because if you're a W-2 person, you can't just go say, I want to make an extra 100K this year unless you're a commission, right? If you're set, you're set, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But go start a side hustle where you can make more money, and then take that and invest in real estate. I know there's people who do it with no money, but no, we've always put at least 20 to 25% in the deal.
Okay. Now I'll come back to how you're financing that, a little bit later. So let's get into the origin story a little bit, and how I know you said it a little bit, like a quick story, but how did you mainly, let's go, how did you discover real estate? Okay, so we'll go that way.
Yeah, great question. I was always entrepreneur minded, and I was always aware of it, right? My business coach was, and my mentor, Bedros, he was always kind of put in my head, because the beautiful thing about business is you never are problem free. You just newer, bigger, better problems. So like when I started my business, the first problem was, oh my God, am I going to make it? Is this going to work? Or am I going to pay my bills? Am I going to go bankrupt? You get to the new problem of, I'm making a lot of money, but self-employed people pay the highest taxes. Most people don't know this. Solopreneurs, small business owners, pay the highest level of taxes, because you pay self-employment tax and you pay all your income tax, right? So
100%.
Yep. So you pay the highest tax. So I now had this new problem of, I'm cutting multiple 6-figure tax bills. And I kept hearing and reading, because again, personal development, the wealthy don't pay taxes, and the wealthy can use real estate to not pay taxes. So I'm like, how is this? And I just started reading and discovering, like, the Bigger Pockets, tax-free wealth books, the Robert Kiyosaki. That just opened it up. And that's when I started to discover things like cost segregation studies, real estate professional status, that we use both of those. My wife is the real estate professional, to now eliminate our income tax. So we don't pay income tax anymore off of our earned income.
That's awesome. So yeah, because you got to do all the properties that you get, you can depreciate, so you can depreciate all the assets and everything. So that's really good. And that's the biggest thing is that people have to realize is that is how the rich don't pay taxes. They can go into a property where they're breaking even just for the tax depreciation, because they don't care. Now they still have to make money because they're still business people in hindsight, but that's where people will still do that, where they don't make money, or they see they're breaking even in the beginning, but they see potential for it to grow, things like that.
Absolutely. Real estate is the only asset class that you get appreciation if you buy in a good area, right? Values go up, but then every year you get to depreciate it and take a tax deduction, right? It's real. Like if you look at stocks or crypto, you only can take a loss if you lose money, which is like the fundamental rule of investing is don't lose money, right? So,
exactly.
It's once you learn the powers of real estate investing, as long as you're entrepreneurial and understand the business side of it, there's nothing that can compare to it. There's really nothing.
100%. I completely agree with you on that. So So you started out where, you had a business mentor, you ended up finding real estate, and how did you come across your first deal?
Yeah.
So that's everybody wants to know, like, okay, how did they get that first deal? Because that's that drug, and once you take that, that's it.
I agree, man. It was the pandemic. So it was early 2020. I was in Newport Beach, California, actually. My wife and I stayed out there for the winter. And then all of a sudden, right, March 2020 happened, the world changed. I'd been reading and really researching a lot about real estate, because I was literally on what's called 28th Street on oceanfront. I'm on this beautiful home. Pacific Ocean is my backyard. And I'm like, I'm paying rent to somebody who's making passive income. That's when it became real to me, because I'm like, I'm doing it, but I'm on the wrong side of it, right? I'm making this person passive income, but I'm like, oh my God. Now I see, I'm reading a lot of Grant Cardone books, I'm studying a lot, and the pandemic strikes, right? And then all of a sudden rates start dropping, and we had, I would say we were crap at this time. We were cash rich, asset poor. We had a lot of money in the bank. Just kind of stocking away, right? But I had no assets besides my primary residence, but technically that's a liability because I'm paying for it, right? So anyways,
exactly.
We come back to Michigan, and real estate, if you probably remember, it wasn't even considered essential at that time, which is a whole other conversation, right?
Yeah.
But then once it opened up, we started just going to properties. And one of my former clients at Lifetime Fitness, she was a big real estate agent out here in Birmingham, Oakland, Royal Oak, and we just started going. All I could think of back then was buy a home, right? Buy a single family home. So we went through a couple of properties. I went under contract. They fell through, didn't pass inspection. And then finally I got one, 2939 North Vermont, that I still own in Royal Oak, and got it, put a tenant in, right? Like literally we closed on, I think, a Thursday. We had it filled by Saturday.
Wow. Okay.
2 nurses, and they offered $100 more per month than what we were advertising. So that, like you said, that was the gateway drug. I was like, whoa, all right, here we go, right? So yeah, that was the first one, man.
Yeah, so that was your first deal. And then when did you get into multifamily?
Yeah, so then I bought 2915 North Vermont, so a couple houses down. But then right away I started to discover, I'm sure something you've probably already talked about to your audience here, there's only so much scalability with single family homes.
Yes.
We kept getting more and more mortgages, and when you buy a single family investment property, they qualify your income, your credit score, your debt to income ratio. They don't care about how much money the property can make. They don't.
Right.
They're qualifying you. I got 10 mortgages in my name, and then that was it, right? So you can only have 10 conventional finance mortgages. Then you can start to do portfolio loans and all that, but they get really expensive, really messy, and we're like, okay, how do we scale up from here, right? Do I pay them off? But then, your returns go really down. So then a 7-unit, this was still in like COVID, hit the MLS. It was 7 units in Northville, Michigan. I used to work in Novi, and my first house was in Wixom, which is one of my rentals now too. And I knew the area. It was on Beck Road. It's across from a $4 million, $3 million house, across what's called the Bellagio estate, so beautiful multi-million-dollar properties. We drove it, and we're like, we have to own it. So I did something, Randy, I would not recommend anyone doing. I made 2 big mistakes, and hopefully people can profit from my mistakes here. Win it, because it was a bid, just like in COVID, everything was a bid war. And very rare you see a 7-unit in Northville, Michigan, let alone on the MLS, right?
Right. You don't ever see them on the MLS.
No. So because they used a residential broker, so that's where it was like, okay, they don't know what they have here, because they should have went to like a commercial broker. I did $100,000 non-refundable EMD. Don't ever do that. Wow. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. And number 2, I didn't use a lawyer to write the contract. I used my residential agent, who was helping me with like duplexes and fourplexes. Just throw a contract together. There is a big difference between a residential purchase agreement and a multifamily purchase agreement. So long story short, I almost lost $100,000 due to environmental issues. And it was about to be a long drawn out legal battle. Fortunately, we were able to course correct it. I purchased that 6 units, and it's been a great property ever since. But 2 mistakes to profit off.
Okay. So 6 unit or 7 unit?
7 units.
7 units. Okay. Awesome. And what were you, after you purchased it, did you put any renovations into it or anything like that?
Yeah. So it was one of those things, again, 3 owners, 3 partners, 2 doctors, and a gentleman who maintained it and all that. They just, didn't know what I don't want to say didn't know what they were doing, but they just kept the rents really low. It was like $700 for a one bath in Northville, which didn't happen. So anyone who moved out, we renovated the units, light renovation, floors, paint, cap. We had to touch them up, paint them, whatever. We took rents from $700 to $1,100.
Nice.
Those who didn't move out just knew, even at $1,100, we were still below market rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really, market rent there is like $1,250. So now we have the entire place rented out for $1,100, except there's 1 premium unit at the end. Kind of weird situation. They just really like that tenant, and we really like her too. But they did like granite and like marble floor over a fireplace, and she's got an attached garage, so she pays a little bit more. And then we took a barn that was on the property. Just they didn't do anything with it, and we rented it out for $175 a month, just as value add cash. So great lesson. If you guys see properties with barns, people will rent them out. I don't know what the heck's in there. Hopefully it's not like dead bodies or like cocaine. $175 a month times 12 divided by a 5.5 cap, right? That's a significant NOI booster. So
that's awesome.